Hey, kia ora, Helen Browns here, coming to you live from Sun City in Arizona on this beautiful, windy morning, which is keeping the temperatures really, really low right now. It's like 43 degrees outside, but it feels like 34 because of the strong winds we have coming through. And they are strong enough that I actually had to turn off my bathroom fan and close the cover for it because the wind's coming from the direction that puts it straight on to the fan. We have these little ceiling fans, and you tilt the cover up, and the cover has to be tilted for the fan to work, and it faces the back of the RV. Well, the back of the RV is pointing east, which is where the wind's coming from. So it's a very cold easterly, but it's coming in through it so strong that it's blowing the dust in through the fan, even though the fan is extracting the air out of the RV. I know, and my heat just kicked on again. But I wanted to get on early because I have a very busy morning this morning. It's almost 7 o'clock, so it's time to go get showered and dressed and take the pup for a walk, which we have no daylight yet. I'm just checking the skylight in the shower. But, I am grateful for these mornings. I love these mornings. They're awesome. And even though the wind's blowing and dust and dander, which is one of my highest allergy things, is extreme right now on the thing. I know that my sinuses are going to suffer today, which is another good reason to turn the fan off and keep the dust from blowing in as best we can. You can't close up every nook and cranny in an RV. You just can't. You just can't. Thankfully, it's not coming at the front of my RV because then it'll be coming in through the air vents. And so I've got those closed off, but Seffi keeps hitting one of them each time with her foot when she goes up and down onto the dashboard. So today is Thankful Thursday. What are you most grateful for today? I've just finished doing my morning quiet time where I list out things I'm most grateful for today, and I try and do different items each day than I did the day before. So I did that. I've had breakfast. I even cracked this. And if you watched last night, I was talking about why I couldn't why I hadn't been able to start reading this book, even though it's been out for a while, because this is called the first and the second has already been released or is about to be released. It's either just been released or it's about to release. I'm not sure, but the second is on its way if it's not already here. And I actually cracked this morning just to get into it. Sorry, something just went down the wrong way. And I got to the prologue, and prologue it got me straight away. I'm like, damn him, got me again. The prologue started off with a very moving piece between a husband and a wife, and it brought back so many memories of a similar time with me and Brad. So I was like, damn him, he got me again. But it was only like, it got me straight from that was the prologue. I'm sort of like, I am in so much trouble if this is an indication of what the rest of the book is going to be like. I'm like, I don't know if I want to read it, but I'm going to, because I have already said to myself I'm going to. So I thought, well, hang on, I have to finish the last book. So while I was eating breakfast, I went back to the book that the fiction book that I'm currently reading, which is one of my genealogy mystery ones, and they're sort of in the getting towards the end of it and doing the wrap up and making the discoveries and the connections and how this works with that and everything else. So it won't be long till that's finished, and then I can really start in on this. So I've read the prologue and the first chapter of this book, and I wanted to keep reading. I was like, no, I want to keep reading. It's like, no, you said you would finish the other book first. You are going to finish the other book first. So I had to reluctantly put the first aside to finish reading my genealogy mystery books, which I absolutely love them. They're awesome. They're very in-depth, a little on the dark side. There's a little bit of supernatural brought into it, but paranormal in that, because they've just connected two lines. They've just made the major connection between one of the main character's stories and these rings that she has, and now they have made the connection between her family and another family, and each family had a witch in it. So I'm sort of like, okay. And so they got this, and so she's sort of at the junction of these two lines that came together, and these two lines had witches in it, and she's one at that junction. So it's sort of like, It's interesting, put it that way. So, interesting. They don't do a lot on the paranormal side, but there are places where they have done a little bit in the last two books on the paranormal side, which wasn't too bad. It wasn't too bad. I could handle that. If it's all paranormal, yeah, no, I can't handle that. But this was just a little touch of it in there. Even though it was one in the first book, it was kind of the main story. It was the background story that they had to make the connection to, but they didn't do a lot of that. So it was a nice dose that I could handle. Anything more, and I probably wouldn't have been able to read it. But anyway, watched Groundhog Day last night because it was Groundhog Day. I love that movie. I was sitting there, and for some reason, I was trying to figure out how long was he stuck in this repeating of day after day after day, and you see him, remembering things and getting this, and then you do you count up so like when he's dating his boss, trying to get to know his boss so he can date her because he likes her, and the number of times she ends up slapping his face, and I'm sort of like, okay, how many slaps was that? All of a sudden I wanted to start trying to work out how many months, or was it years, that he was stuck in the same day, because I thought, he learned how to be an ice sculptor. He learned to play the piano during that time. He got his face slapped a number of times by the boss that he was trying to date. And it was just sort of like, and then he had this one perfect day. He has that one perfect day at the end where he wins the girl, and he's now out of the Groundhog Day. And it's sort of like, you've been trapped in this day for months. It had to be months. It had to be, or maybe, because the brain wasn't computing it very well. And then to suddenly wake up and you're no longer stuck in the same day. Now what do you do? Because for all of this time, you've been building up the knowledge of every single second of what happens in every single second based on where you are. And then you're sort of like, oh, I don't know anything anymore. I don't know what happens today. You suddenly wake up and it's like, I don't know what happens today. So what would it be like to be just in that repetitive cycle day after day after day after day after day, and all of a sudden you're no longer in that repetitive cycle? So for some reason I was getting a little, I don't know, philosophical about it, or just trying to wrap my brain around it. I still enjoy the movie, but there's times it just brings up questions of, what about this, or what about that? And so yeah. Oh, I'm a lost cause at times. But anyway, but I was grateful I had the opportunity to watch the movie. I ended up having a late night. I was planning on an early night because of the night before, and I ended up having a late night. But I'll tell you this, I had the best night's sleep last night. I did my normal routine. I read my, hell am I reading? Some romance novel thing. Read like about a page and a half of that, I think. No, maybe actually, no, that one I got 2 chapters in. Almost 2 chapters. 2 chapters. I read. And then my eyes are starting to get heavy, and I'm like, oh, okay, we're finally going to shut down now. So put the book aside and rolled over. And of course, Zeffie has her bed area where the second person would put their head on the bed. And she is so cute some nights. She is so cute, because normally when I get into bed, she turns away from me, so her head's on the far side of the bed instead of close to me. The last few nights, the last week or so, I've noticed that when I go to sleep, she's actually got her head facing me. And I thought, well, this is a new turnaround. And which asked me to remind you about hunger as well. Hungry. And I'd thrown her blanket over her, and she like turns her head down and snuggles down, and then she does this big she does it every time I put a blanket on. You wait a few seconds, and then there's a like, now I can go to sleep. Mum's here, I can go to sleep. And I could hear this noise. I could hear this little noise. I thought, what's this little noise? And she's like doing these little yips in her sleep. And I turned to where she is, and the edge of her bedding is right beside my shoulder, and I can see out from under the blanket is just her nose. Just by the light of my Kindle, I could just see her nose there, and I'm like, okay, that's where that little breeze is coming from. But she was doing this little yip, 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 just these little squeaks. Like she was having some great dream that she was barking and I don't know what. But it was just so cute to see there. And all I could see was the black part of her nose just sticking out from under the blanket right there next to my shoulder. I thought, that's so cute. And, but yeah, so she started doing that. And we started training last night with the buttons. So hang on, where is it? All right. So this is her first button. And I had it down, I've got it down here next to her food bowl. So when she's hungry, it says hungry. But you got to, the microphone on these things are not the greatest. So you've sort of got to like hold them away from you. You can't talk into it like this because then it reverberates too much. So you do have to hold them away. Hold the little red button. It does this little beepy thing. You then record the word and then you release the button and it holds it. But you only got like a 7-second recording time. And so last night I had this on the floor and she had an empty food bowl and she emptied it and she was looking for more food because there was not a lot that was in there at the time because it's left over from breakfast. Yes, I do not pick up my dog's food. I know there's a lot of dog people out there say, oh, you're supposed to put your food down for a certain amount of time. And if they don't eat it, they don't eat it. And da-da-da-da. Yeah, no, not in this household. It's just the way I am. I would never, she'd be constantly pressing this button. No, maybe that's what she should be. But anyway, so I was getting her to touch the button. Every time it said hungry, I'd put a little more food into her food bowl. And because she would like sniff it, like touch it with her nose, and I'd give her a treat because I just wanted her to touch it, get used to it and touch it. And then I would go hungry and press the button and it would go hungry. And I said, touch the button. And sometimes and one time she got a paw, just went whack out on the side. So it goes sliding across the thing. I was like, okay. Or she gets it and she sort of like pulls it towards her and like, I'm done with this because she says, I know. And she's like hitting my hand with her paw because she knows there's a treat in there. I go, no, you got to touch the button first. I go, hungry, and point at the button. And she did whack the thing. And you could see it in her eye. You can see it on her face. It's like, oh, whack the stupid thing if you really want me to. And so she'd whack it and go, hungry. I go, good girl. And I'll put some food into her bowl. And then she'd sort of like look at me and I go, and she got her treat as well. And I said, touch the button. And she'd just look at me and then she'd start going after my hand again. And it was so funny, but we sat there for 10 minutes and she probably pressed the button about 5 times during that 10 minutes. And every time she hit the button, I put a little more food into her food bowl. And later on she goes over, and she looks down at the floor at this button sitting there. She goes, because it's near her food bowl, she looks at it and instead of coming straight onto her food bowl, she kind of came in on an angle so she could avoid the button. But we'll see what happens. We're starting off with one button and just getting her used to it, getting her to touch it. So when her food bowl, you should have a midnight snack. So when her food bowl gets empty after she has her breakfast and she looks at her food bowl again and starts her whining thing again, I'm going to get back on the floor with her with the button and let's work it out. So yeah, it was hilarious training her last night. It was so much fun. Should have caught it on video. It was hilarious. Just her facial expressions, and she was in a really playful mood, which made it even easier. It makes it easier to train when she's in a playful mood, but it can also get a little tricky because sometimes she gets too playful and then you've got to get her attention back. So she thought this was a game. So we had a good game with this last night. Anyway, so that's the first button, hungry. So we'll see how that goes. I'll keep you updated on that. So I'm out of here. Time for me to go wake up pup. Oh, I have daylight in the skylight now. And then we can go for a walk. It means we're going to have to bundle up, protect the ears so the wind can't get in there. And we'll catch you guys later on this evening. Have a super fantastic, sparkling, thankful Thursday. I'm out of here. And we'll catch you guys back here this evening around 6 p.m. Mountain Time. So have a super fantastic, sparkling, thankful Thursday. Hey, Conora.